Well, thank you for coming on my show, Jessica.
Yes, thanks for having me.
And can you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
For sure. Yeah, I mean, where do we even start? So I'm originally from the East Coast, but now I live in LA and I'm an actor, writer, singer, and producer when I have to be out here in LA. So multi-hyphenate, doing all the things. I went to NYU to study acting, had my BFA in theater from NYU, lived in New York a couple years after that, got like a co-star on Law&order SVU, did some commercials, and then decided to make the change and come out to LA in 2018 because I heard that there were 100. Okay, so in New York, apparently, there are 15 casting offices for TV and film, and in LA, there are 150. So it's like, oh, if I want to be a working actor and pay my bills acting, I should probably be in LA. So I've been here I'm on my seventh year, so six
Mhm.
full years going on seven. And now I've moved more into the creation of this industry versus just being an actor in other people's projects. So, like I said, I'm a writer and wrote my first film, Gen 28, and now we're in pre-production for my second short film, Hostile Exchange, which is very exciting. And hopefully, we'll go on to do many features in the future.
Wow, amazing. So, of course, many people may be wondering what attracted you to get into the entertainment industry and be an actress and be a producer and writer and a singer, of
Yeah.
course.
Yes, of course, all the hyphenates. Well, I mean, honestly, like I just loved acting since I was a little kid. Like I would dress up like Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz and have my little fake like Toto dog and basket and like walk around the house singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. So I definitely think from a young age, I just loved singing and acting and performing. And then I never really, I honestly didn't think that I would like be able to be an actor full time, as in like when I'm in middle school and high school, a developing, kid. But then I realized once I had to decide what I wanted to do for college, I was like, wow, the only thing I want to do is act. Like this is the only thing that I would spend the next 4 years of my life or the rest of my life doing. So yeah, I would say it was like junior year of college, I decided,
Hmm.
okay, sorry, junior year of high school, I decided we're doing it, we're acting, we're going for it. And I was only one of two kids from my high school to be accepted into Tisch, which was really exciting. And that was like wonderful and validating. And then, actually, I would say like in a therapy appointment in college, yes, for mental health, I encourage everyone to be in therapy. Um, my therapist asked me like, why do you do acting? And so as an adult, I was able to reflect on it and realized that I want to show people that they can have a wide variety of emotions, especially in our society, women are taught to be accommodating and nice and people pleasing,
Right.
and men are taught to be stoic and never show emotion. And I'm just like, this is not how it is to be a human. Like, this is not real at all. So, through my acting and through my characters on screen and on the stage, I want to show people like it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be upset. You need to feel
Right,
your
right.
feelings. That's the human experience. So, like on a deeper level, that's really what motivates me and drives me to be an actor.
Wow. And you moved from New York all the way to LA.
Drove across the country. Yeah, 2 week road trip.
You drove.
Yes, in my Prius. It was great. Packed to the brim with all my stuff. I don't even know how I fit everything into the Prius, but we did it. We saw like all of like the South and then Texas. Actually, we didn't stop in Dallas, but we stopped in Houston
Hmm.
and then Vegas and then over to California.
Wow, that was a long trip.
I mean, when else? I honestly hope I never have to drive across the country again because it was a lot. So I'm like, okay, if this is like my one time doing it, let me at
Hmm.
least like really take the time to, do
Right.
all the stops along the way.
And no regrets, of course, when you start driving when you're already halfway across the country.
Oh, no, no, no. I'm a planner. I do follow my gut instinct, but I don't do anything like hastily. So I had decided a year before I actually moved that I was going to move. So I saved up a bunch of money. I had been thinking this through and I could not, at that point, could not wait to get out of New York. I love the city, but the city is definitely very good for your 20s. You're like figuring things out. a good like training ground, but to be an adult and be able to relax and enjoy life, LA is much more suited for that.
What I hear from a lot of people. Of
Yeah,
course, you won three Best Actress award,
I did. Yes, I did. I did. I did.
and let's talk about that. Those roles.
Yes, so that was all for my short film Gen 28, which is spelled Jen, comma 28, like Jen, the woman's first name, almost like you would see on a dating profile.
Hmm.
And that was my first film that I wrote, produced, and starred in myself. And yeah, I really wanted, at first I was like, man, all these roles out here kind of suck. Like everything I was auditioning for was not, I won't say everything, but a lot of things I was auditioning for were very poorly written, very stereotypical, very misogynistic. And I was like, this doesn't vibe with me at all. I can write something better than what I'm auditioning for. And I'm also part of this weekly writers group, and we meet every Tuesday and we read a bunch of different writers' works and workshop it and give notes.
Hmm.
And so even from there, I was like, oh wow, these are people who like are writers and like, yes, they're good, but I think I can do that. Like that is something that I think is attainable. So I wrote Gen 28. We workshopped it like 4 times. And then I went through endless drafts with my director until we got our final version. We filmed it in the summer of 2019. And then during post-production is when COVID happened. Lovely. So that kind of put things on a halt for a minute. But then we picked up post-production at the end of 2020 and then submitted the film for the 2021 and 2022 festival run, where we were accepted into 35 festivals and won 14 awards, and 3 of those were Best Actress. So for me, as my performance in the lead role. So it was quite a journey, and I mean it exceeded all of my expectations. Like when you make something, I had no expectations because I didn't want to be disappointed, and then it was an amazing outpour back to me.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
So what other upcoming projects are you working on?
So we are in pre-production for my second short film called Hostile Exchange. And Hostile Exchange, so I guess I'll preface my work that I write and produce and create myself is mostly centered around women's issues, because I feel as though the women's experience has not been adequately shown on TV and film, mostly because all the writers are men. So
Hmm.
that, there's a discrepancy there. I mean, yes, you can do your best to like cast your mind into that of another gender, but it's pretty hard. Like you're going to make the men the heroes and the women kind of have fallen into these stereotypical roles throughout history. So, yes, so my whole thing is that I want to make art that shows women breaking out of these stereotypical
Hmm.
roles that we're normally put into, and showing, hey, we can have a range of emotions and we can be totally sane and not crazy, and we're humans and we have opinions, etc. And so this new film is really focusing on women empowerment and around, and I feel like everyone really feels this, if you're in a relationship, sometimes you give away parts of yourself in that
Hmm.
relationship, or you blur your own personal boundaries to make the other person happy, to keep the peace, whatever it might be. And sometimes, like, you can end up losing part of yourself in that relationship. So, Hostile Exchange is about this long distance couple that eventually breaks up, but they need to meet in the middle of the desert. In between their 2 homes, since they're long distance, to exchange something that is very valuable for them. And
Right.
I'm not going to say what that is because that's the whole twist in the movie. So that's it for that. But it's all about being like, okay, I gave this thing away to this
Hmm.
person, and at any right, I can take it back from them and reclaim my own self. So that's what the new film is about. But it's gonna be very fun. It's like contemporary Western meets comedy, and then there's some thriller aspects. So it's definitely a cross genre, a wild ride for sure.
And when is it going to be released? You don't know yet?
So we're filming it in 2 weeks, which is very exciting.
Mhm.
Lots of work is being put into that from myself and my director, Sam Miller. And that we're hoping to go into post-production right away, and we'll be submitting it to Big Three, Sundance, South by, and Tribeca this fall. And hopefully we can have our world premiere at one of those festivals. If not, which I doubt is going to happen because honestly, it's a pretty awesome film and I'm pretty confident with everybody we have on board. But if it doesn't, then we'll run, the more mid tier
Right.
festival circuit run and then see what happens after that.
Right, that's true. And it's good you're making a film about women in the film industry.
Yes. Yeah.
Women empowerment is very important to talk about. They can do
Yeah.
anything as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's also about just changing the perception of women and how they fit into society. And we're man, it's amazing the time that we're in right now. I think we have a really long way to go. But before the Me Too movement, like no one was even talking about all the atrocities on women
Mhm.
on a daily basis. And my first short film, Gen 28, was actually it was exposing the misinterpreted gray area of sexual assault and showing
Mhm.
that it's not actually gray when you take a closer look at it. And that during my whole experience of crowdfunding and talking to people in the community, like I want to say 98% of women I know now, just in general, have been sexually assaulted at one point in time,
Mhm.
which is wild. Like, that is such a thing that doesn't have to happen. It's avoidable. And yet it's common. It's an every woman
Right.
experience.
And what was the, I'm sorry, what was the percentages you said again? You were saying it so fast.
Sorry. Yeah, like for me personally, after talking to people in my crowdfunding campaign and community, 98% of women I know,
Hmm.
98% have been sexually assaulted at one point in time.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's like everyone. That's almost everyone. It
Right.
was it was honestly like when I was talking to all these women during that film, it would be the rare occasion that somebody would say, "Oh, that never happened to me, but I support you." Like, again, I only heard it maybe a handful of times out of
Hmm.
everyone I talked to during that. And now the film was actually being shown at Harvard to college students to like open up the conversation of consent, which is amazing because like if we talk about these issues, if we show
Hmm.
women being empowered, or if we're like, hey, yeah, there's no gray area of sexual assault, it's just a yes or no, then we can, as a society, come to understand these things and then treat women better and differently in everyday life, versus staying in our bubbles and not having any awareness of what's going on,
Right, right.
in half the population's lives.
And you said your film Gen 2 is being shown in Harvard still this day.
Yes, yeah, Gen 28. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Gen 20.
So
I'm sorry, not Gen 2, Gen 28.
no worries.
And it's being
Yeah,
filmed
it's
and being shown in Harvard. That's
yep.
amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. It
Is there
was it
any
was
other
amazing.
colleges that you're hoping it'll be shown as well?
So I actually didn't really pursue that route. After we got into all these film festivals, I was honestly exhausted. I was kind of the one carrying the torch at the end of it because during the pandemic, my director had moved to Portugal and Taiwan, and I was kind of left alone to carry this film and take it from the editing room through post-production and then into the festivals. So I was exhausted by the end of that whole run and getting into 35 festivals and going around. It was a lot. So I did not go and pursue the educational route. It was actually someone who came up to me. It did not screen at Sundance, but we were at Sundance in 2021 when they canceled it last minute, or 2022 when they canceled it last minute. And we showed it in a lodge that people were hanging out in, and someone was like, "Oh my God, wait, I'm a student at Harvard, and like I would love this. I would love to show this. Like, can I do that?" And I'm like, "Sure." So I put up, finally released it for free on Vimeo and YouTube so people can find it and watch it. And then yeah, like months later, they reached out and were like, "Hey, just so you know, like we've been showing this every week to students and opening this conversation of consent." And I'm like, "Thank you." So honestly, it was man, it was such a honor that somebody saw that film and was like, I need to take action and I need to share this. And it didn't have to come from me as the creator. It was the audience being inspired and moved
Hmm.
and wanting to share it with other people. And that's how real change is made, right? Like one person yelling on the top of a mountain isn't really going to do that much. But when you have a whole group of people seeing what an issue is and wanting to help out,
Right.
that's where the real change happens. So it was the community of Gen 28, which I will give them full credit for.
Well, that's great. It's being filmed in Harvard, and Harvard's a great college. Shout out to Harvard.
Shout out to
But
Harvard.
yes, 100%. I love Harvard. Didn't go to school there. Sorry, everybody, Harvard. But yeah,
It is a great school.
it is. I'm glad it's being shown there. And then you
Mhm.
said, of course, that the audience can watch this on YouTube, correct?
Yes, yeah. So you can watch it on YouTube or Vimeo. I think Vimeo is better quality because it's 5K on there. And
Hmm.
now YouTube has this thing where they're like, you have to choose, and it's not standardized. Like you have to choose the resolution. So if anybody watches it on YouTube, just put up that resolution, make it at least 1080p. It was filmed in 5K. So like it's definitely like a masterpiece. But yes, people can watch it on Vimeo or YouTube if you search Jen, comma 28, and it'll come up.
Awesome. Everybody watch it, of course. They need to watch it. And that's the film that you won some awards, is that correct?
Yes, that's the one that we won all the awards for, yeah.
Well, congratulations. And
Thank
you never
you.
thought it would go to like people will watch it on like colleges like that.
I had been during my crowdfunding campaign, I had been approached by a couple of people, not in colleges, but high school teachers who were like, "Oh, I would love to show this in my high school class and then have a discussion around it." And I was thrilled about that, obviously. And then I was talking to one of my mentors and I was like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And he was like, "Well, Jess, you have to decide if you're going to be like an advocate or and wait, not an advocate. There's a different word for it. Oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. It's like an activist,
An
activist.
activist.
Yes.
I was gonna say it, but I wasn't sure. I didn't want to say it before you would say it.
I appreciate it. Yeah, yeah. But that was it. He's like, Jess, are you an activist or are you a creator and an actor and a writer? And he's like, because if you go the activist route, then yeah, you can be touring around high schools and colleges and they'll do
Hmm.
assemblies and Q&As and all this stuff. And I was like, my true calling is to be an actor and I want to write these things and have people experience it in seats in a theater, etc. Like not necessarily me like talking to people and like motivational speaking. So
Right.
I didn't pursue it for that because I want to stay true to my artistic self. But again, love that people want to use it and like feel free if any high school teachers or college people are watching and they want to show that to their students and have a discussion. It's free on the internet for anybody to do so.
Well, that's amazing. So everybody needs to check it out, of course. Um, your role on Law and Order. Um,
Yes.
so did you expect yourself to be on a very famous TV show, Law and Order, that is still going on this day and that's been going on for generation and generation, how many seasons? How was
Oh
it?
yeah.
And did you get to meet the main cast members?
Unfortunately, I was on set with the main cast members. Yeah, Mariska Hargitay. I would love to meet that woman. I think she's incredible. I did not, unfortunately, but I did. Man, I'm so bad with people's names. Peter, he was the dad in the OC. I think his name is Peter something. I forget his name. It's just really horrible because he's a famous actor. But I met him and he was very nice. And then one of the other cops for that season who ended up dying later that season was on it. But yeah, I mean, it's huge. I'm still getting residual checks for that show, and I filmed that in 2016, which is so crazy. I'll get like $30 every 4 months. I'm like, great. I'm so glad it's being shown like overseas and on streamers. But that was, I will say, I manifested that very hard. I loved Law and Order SVU when I was living in New York, and I had seen like every episode, and I was like, I'm going to be on this show. It has to happen. And in New York, they have a saying, they're like, you're not a true New York actor until you've been on Law and Order SVU, even if it's as a dead body. Luckily, I was not a dead body. I had at least a line. I was a physical therapist for one of the cops who got injured. But
Yeah.
it was amazing. And honestly, I want to bring some like reality into that. That the reason I got that was because I was investing in myself and I was taking casting director workshops with like every casting director of TV and film in New York. I was sending follow-up postcards every month with my face on it, telling them what I was up to. I at that time I just got my first agent, and so it was a perfect storm of I just took the class. I've been sending these postcard follow-ups every month to Phil Huffman, who's the casting director for Law and Order SVU. And then my agent submits me and he recognizes me from the class and from my postcards. So I mean, it was a big investment, I would say, to get to there. And acting in and of itself is a huge investment
Hmm.
in yourself. So it didn't, I wish I could just say, oh, my agent submitted me and it happened. But no, I put in a ton of legwork on my own because I love that show and I wanted to get on it. And it ended up happening, which is great. So I think that's also a good lesson to be like, yeah, like you might have spent a lot of money a lot of money to be an actor. You may have to put a lot of time into things where you don't know what the end result is going to be.
Right.
But if you believe in yourself and you invest in yourself, other people are going to notice that. And if you have the talent, they're going to pick up on it.
That's amazing. And what season and what episode can people watch you when they want to rewatch it and try to catch you?
I was literally just thinking the other day, I'm like, I need to have this memorized because it's so bad that I don't have this memorized. It's like it's always season 15, episode 17, or vice versa. Let's
Season
see.
15. Okay, everyone.
Hold on. I'm literally looking it up. I don't know if you're gonna edit this together, but let me
It's okay. It can be
for
together because people want to.
sure. So it's yeah, what is the one episode? I know. Okay, yes. Okay, see, I got it mixed up. It's season 17, episode 15.
Okay.
17, 15. That's what it is.
17,
17
15.
seasons. Crazy.
It's crazy. And it's still going.
Yep. Yep. It's still going. That was in 2016. They were on season 17. It's wild.
Right. And
But if it
now,
works, it works, you know?
right. Now they're like season, yeah, it's like still
It
going.
has to be in the 20s. Yeah, it has to be in the 20s.
Yeah, it's
22, 25, something like that.
right. It's still going. It's amazing. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
So
it's still one of my dreams to be a detective on that show. So even though I was only a physical therapist and had one line, like still dream is like detective on Law and Order SVU, and I will continue to manifest that.
you never know you could get it, right?
Yeah, they bring back people all the time. It's actually wild. You can see almost every famous actor like has had one or multiple roles on that show, and they're like, oh, you have a co-star here, then we bring you back for a guest star. Like they love reusing people that they like. So I'm still holding on to that.
Right, 100%. So what's your short-term goal and your long-term goal?
That's a great question. So my short-term goal, I would say, is right now to make the best short hostile exchange film that I can with my team. Because if we do, I mean, it's already amazing, and I really do think that if all the pieces come together, we could get into one of the top festivals, and that would be a game changer, obviously. So that's short-term goal. For right now, very immediate. And then long term, I have a feature in my mind. I have multiple features and TV shows and web series in my mind that I want to write or I have written like my feature. I have written 3 drafts of it, but like in 3 years because no one pays you to write a screenplay. So I have to like live my own life and also, make time to write and stuff like that. So eventually my goal would be to get to a place where I'm writing my own feature films, acting in them if I want to, and creating art that changes the world and is even if that sounds cliche, but like long term making films with women about women experiences to shed light on women and show how awesome we are.
Hmm.
And hopefully like the epitome would be like gender equality in America. I don't know if that's going to happen in my lifetime, but I want to do everything that I can as an artist
Hmm.
to help facilitate that.
And also, if you mind me, do you see yourself maybe making a film? I mean, a documentary or film, or talk about politics in your films?
I don't think in the documentary sense specifically. I'm
Hmm.
definitely a narrative person. I love scene work and characters. But my feature film that I've written 3 drafts on that I'm currently in development for is about a current event and a king predator of sorts. Basically, like, I don't want to say his name, but he's the Jeffrey Epstein of the modeling world, and he's actually in jail right now for like all the atrocities he's done to thousands of women over decades. So in that way, like I'm definitely down to write films about things in the current environment, but a documentary is like not in that way, I guess. Definitely
Hmm.
I want to stick to narrative for sure.
So and if you mind me asking, you're basically want to make films more for like for women and show women can do things and women empowerment. Is that correct?
Yeah, just showing that women are more than a secretary to a man, which has been the narrative for a very long time.
Hmm.
That women are badasses, that we are so much more than what the patriarchy has confined us to, and that we're just as good and equal to men. I feel like I don't know, there's just been a whole thing throughout the dawn, like for all of our history as a humankind, that women have been put down. And I don't think it's fair, and I don't think it's right, and it's not
Hmm.
warranted,
Hmm.
So yeah, we'll see how far our society goes, but I'm definitely in it for the long haul, and for sure here to show people that women are awesome and we need more
Yes,
stories
I
about them.
agree. Women are always awesome, of course. Um, Now, a lot of people may want to know, what do you do for fun when you're not producing and singing or acting or directing?
Yeah, I'm not a director. I just want to get
I'm
that off the
sorry.
table. I leave that to the directors. I love collaborating with directors. I am not one of them. But yeah, acting, writing, singing,
To me, it
producing,
seems like you are a
everything else.
director. Sorry.
Hey, I'll take it. That's a high compliment, and I have a vision for sure. But yeah, directors, like, God bless their souls. There's a lot of working pieces that they have to work with, which is, just very similar to producing too.
Right.
But yes, I have a whole plant collection just off to the side of me. So I love like working with my plants and propagating them and taking care of them. I love being in nature, like going hiking, and we have so many great hikes around LA. I'm also a burner, so I went to Burning Man for the first time in 2022, and I actually was on the team that produced one of the platforms for virtual Burning Man in 2020 and 2021 with my artist collective. So I'm definitely involved in that community. Very creative, amazing, awesome community. Um, and I enjoy working out. Fitness
Hmm.
is really important to me as well. Eating healthy vegetarian food because I'm a vegetarian. But yeah, being in nature, I think nature is
Hmm.
so important, especially like if you're as an actor and as a creative, you have to grind every single day. Like
Hmm.
there's no I try to set boundaries where I'm like, it's the weekend. I'm not going to do anything. And then it's like, oh, you have 4 self-tapes due by Monday. And I'm like, okay, great. I guess I am working this weekend. So it's a balance of like, okay, what can I do in my like immediate world that is
Right.
easily accessible, that will get me out of this like daily grind, but that I can just as easily wake up tomorrow and like, do what I need to do. So although I enjoy traveling a lot and I love Europe and I love traveling, it's not the most realistic thing to do with my time all the time because of like with acting, you have to be in the city that you're trying to work and all that stuff. So yeah, finding those hikes, finding those like moments in nature in LA are like one of my favorite things, I'd say.
I love hiking as well. And there's a lot of great hiking in there in California. Now,
Hmm.
many folks may not know what the Burning Man is. I know what it is, but yeah. So can you just explain a brief detail what the Burning Man is? Because many people are like, "Wait, the Burning Man? What? What is this?"
Yeah, I feel like Burning Man definitely came into our culture, or like our, mainstream culture last year because of the flooding and everything that happened and people being stranded there, which they weren't, but whatever. So yes, Burning Man, man, a brief summary of Burning Man. That's a tough one. It is a gathering of creatives in the Nevada desert in Black Rock City for 2 weeks out of the year. Literally within a month, they build a whole city out of nothing. And everybody who comes has to live by the 10 principles, which one being participation. So you are not just watching people do stuff. You actively have to be giving to I'm going to call it a gathering because it's really not a festival. It's more of a gathering.
Uh-huh.
Um, Man, there's so many other things I should explain first. For example, like just imagine you're walking around the desert and then there are giant art pieces and then there are art cars that are like they call them mutant vehicles, and it's like someone took a car and then they added a bunch of stuff and they're riding it through the desert. Mad Max style, very, very similar to that. And yeah, everyone comes and we have to, oh, and there's obviously music and dancing, and during the day, you can do anything from like play workshops to flow fire spinning workshops.
Hmm.
I'm a fire spinner as well. I guess I should include that in my pastime, but I spin fire. And so like you can do all these things, really like choose your own adventure. And then we all live by the 10 principles. So like radical self-reliance, like make sure that you can handle your own stuff and don't rely on other people to have things that you should have on you. Radical self-expression, uh, oh my God. I should really know all 10 of these, but I don't. But anyway, it's
It's
just like
okay.
be kind to each other. Be kind to each other.
Right.
Don't
And
leave trash
also,
behind, you know, that kind of thing.
pardon me, I also heard it's like a and I could be wrong, you can correct me. I heard it's like a spiritual healing place as well.
Yes, you can definitely have those experiences. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's like you can go to Burning Man and be like, okay, because honestly, this happened to me in 2022. I went and I'm like, I need a spiritual healing experience. And then the whole saying is like, you get the burn that you need, not the burn that you want. And then mine was just a party with all my friends, which again, like not complaining, like still had a great time. But like I didn't I felt like spiritual healing afterwards. But for example, I had a friend who went a couple years ago and she was like, yeah, I wanted to party. And then all I found were like spiritual, like shaman sessions and, you know, sound baths. And she had a very spiritual experience. So you can find anything on the
Hmm.
playa for sure.
It happens every year, right?
Yep, every year. So it'll be Labor Day weekend and the week before that.
Okay. It only lasts
Hmm.
for 2 weeks.
Only 2 weeks, dude. After you spend 10 days in the desert, you're like, yeah, I'm ready to get back to civilization.
You say
Like,
only two
let's,
weeks.
yeah, let's get out of here. I would recommend it though. If you already know what it is and you're a creative, like, you know,
Hmm.
person, I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, I know what it is, but I just wanted to, I've heard about it and, seen videos and people having fun and enjoying and spiritual healing and,
Yeah.
they talk, they talk about it. I remember, I believe, Oprah Winfrey talked about it too one time. One of her guest
Oprah's
members
been to
went.
Burning Man?
Yeah, one of her guest members went to Burning Man,
Okay.
and
Okay.
they came on
Gotcha.
her show and talked about how they had spiritual healing and stuff like that.
Got it. Okay. So Oprah has not been to Burning Man.
No, she hasn't. That I
Okay.
know of.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry, Oprah, if you have, then you can correct us. But I have to say I don't know. I don't want to say she hasn't, and then she comes on
Okay.
here and says she
Fair.
does. Right?
Fair,
They
fair.
both
Yeah,
will be.
I know Elon Musk is a big Burning Man fan, and he's been for several years now. So,
Wow. But you
hmm
haven't seen him.
I did not see him. No, I didn't see any famous people at Burning Man, which is fine. You know, like everyone. Also, I don't even know that I could recognize anybody that I knew. To be honest, like a friend, I would be able to recognize them,
Yeah.
but some random famous
I
person,
think
like, ev
to be honest,
done.
it would be really hard to see them because they would disguise themselves unless you're
Exactly. You're
standing right
wearing
next
wild
to them.
clothes.
Right, unless you're
Yeah.
standing next to him and you're like, wait, your voice sounds familiar. And you're like, oh, aren't you? And you're like, yeah, shh, right?
Don't tell anybody. Yeah, but you're wearing crazy stuff, you know, like the outfits are just like they're really very Mad
Right.
Max-esque.
But
And
you
so,
never
yeah,
know. There could be famous people there that we don't know.
I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are. It's a very creative space and probably lots of
Right. It is.
actors
It is.
go for sure.
It's amazing. Um,
Hmm.
so as yourself an actress, how would you, what's your advice for any young actors and actresses out there who wants to get into the entertainment industry and having a hard time with auditions? You were,
Mm.
as a young actress, a young adult, or any age, especially for young kids and young teenagers, they're getting into the entertainment industry, and they want to be an actor, they want to be an actress, and they're struggling. They were like, why am I not? Is my hair not long enough? Are females, or am I not wearing enough makeup? Or what is it? My look? Am I not tall enough? Why am I, getting auditioned? I thought I'm gonna get it, and I don't get anything. I don't get called. Should I keep doing these auditions? What is your
Mm.
advice for young actors, and actresses, or in any age out there who are struggling with understanding about the entertainment industry in anywhere in the United States, all 50, from Alaska to New York to Hawaii, um, or anywhere around the world? But what's your advice for them?
Yeah, I have a couple of points. So, number one, if you're still deciding, like, should I be an actor? If you can be happy doing anything else, just go do that because it's ruthless. It is a long journey. It's hard. It's really hard. So I would say only do it if you're like, this is my soul's purpose and calling, and I can't do anything else. And then go for it. You know, if that's really where you're coming from, like the universe will respond and the work you put into it will come back to you 100%. But you can't like I don't know what language I can use on here, but like you can't half-ass it. You can't be like, oh, I'm
Hmm.
gonna be an actor, but like still have my corporate day job. I mean, you can up until a certain point, right? So it's you have to evaluate your commitment levels. Now, if you're committed and you're like, that's what I want to do, let's go for it. Definitely being yourself is the
Hmm.
best character that you can put on, at least for TV and film. For theater, yes, you have to completely transform yourself into another character. But TV, film, commercials, every single actor out there is completely unique in their own way. So if you play the scene in your own way, that's going to be completely different from other people. So don't try to, like, obviously follow the beats of a scene, have your motivation, do the work
Hmm.
that you need to do, but be natural, relax, be yourself. That's going to set you apart from other people versus like, oh, everyone broke down the scene in the same way and we're all
Hmm.
trying to do it the same way, right? So just be yourself, be unique. Um, Also, self-submit. I mean, I think that a huge misnomer is that once you get an agent, everything's great and you don't have to work again. But that's
No,
not true
right. You have
at
to.
all. Like I I mean, just to be completely honest, I book 99% of the jobs. The 99% of the jobs that I book are jobs that I have submitted myself for. So my
Right.
agent, love my agent, Pierre, he's great, and he is submitting me for the really high-end TV shows and the very high-end feature films,
Hmm.
things that I actually don't even have access to. So, like, you do need an agent for that because you won't be able to submit yourself for that kind of stuff. But then when it comes to the everyday commercial that or promo or social media promo or whatever it is that will pay your bills, that is something that you have to submit for. So, you have the three big sites, Actors Access, Backstage, and Casting Networks. Get on those sites. I know it sucks that we have to pay for the subscriptions, but we do, and just pay the monthly fee.
Hmm.
And by booking one job, like it'll cover all them. So and then also I would say like yeah, once you're like up and running, once you have a really great demo reel, you have good headshots, your materials are good, then you have to put a mark in the sand for yourself of being like, well, I'm not going to accept any unpaid work now because then that tells you where you are in your career. Of course, if you don't have materials, you need a demo reel.
Right.
You need to take free work in order to get that. But once you
Hmm.
have strong materials, make that line in the sand for yourself. Okay, I'm not taking any more unpaid work. And then the next part is, okay, what's my minimum? And my minimum has steadily increased over the past 2, 3, 4 years of me being a
Hmm.
full-time
Hmm.
working actor. Because I'm like, okay, yes, I can do, at the beginning, I'm like, cool, $100, as long as I'm paid $100 or more. And then it was 200, then 250, and 350. So having those minimums for yourself, because also there is a lot of stuff out there for you to submit for your own self. And if you don't have that gauge, you're gonna get booked up on like $75 gigs and still not be able to pay your rent. So I
Right.
think it's just being realistic with yourself about that
Hmm.
stuff, but knowing that you have to put in all the work for your own career. Like that's it.
Hmm.
It's you can't rely on anybody else because, for example, on breakdown services, which is also Actors Access, when an agent submits you for a big TV show or a big feature film, for men, there are 2 to 4 thousand submissions on one role that's on there. Two to
Hmm.
4,000. That's your competition. For women, it's 5 to 7 thousand people. What are the odds? The odds are
Right.
minuscule that a casting director who's never seen you before is going to look at your headshot and be like, whoa, and go through the thing and ask you to audition. That's why rarely people get a lot of auditions from their agents just because the pool is so large.
Hmm.
But if you go to Backstage and you submit yourself for things, there are about 400 to 500 submissions per role on that
Hmm.
site. So it's learning which sites are going to be more useful
Right.
for you, how you can transition your life to being a
Hmm.
full-time working actor if that's really what you want. And I think those are some steps to help people with that.
Right. And also, it's not a competition.
It's not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot of people need to understand that for sure. My next follow-up question is, do you believe that they should be required to go to school to be an actor? Because a lot of, I have to bring this up, a lot of A-list actors um, don't have a college degree, don't even have a school degree to do acting. And I mean, I know they're A-list, but they look where they are now. But they start up, doing acting and all this stuff. So do you personally believe that to to be an actor, you need to go to acting school?
I mean, you don't need to, but it'll make your life a lot easier if you do. And you don't have to go to college for acting. You know, like I know NYU now is even like I don't know how it's possible, but they're even more expensive than when I went there. And it's insane. And it's not affordable for a lot of people. And I had a lot
I
of
agree.
issues with, yeah, I had a lot of issues while I was at school. Like, I mean, I had to be an RA and like do work study to afford to be there. But like I took whatever. I spoke out against the president being like, how would you have so much money in your endowment and you're not giving anybody financial aid? It doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't think you need that. But in New York, for example, there are a ton of acting studios like where I studied, the Lee Strasberg
Hmm.
Theater and Film Institute, Stella Adler, that other one that starts with an M, not Mamet. Anyway, there are a bunch out there that you can study at that have 2-year programs, or you can even take a scene study class. Um, but I'm a huge advocate of, as an actor, always learning and learning different techniques because you have no idea what is going to really
Right,
resonate with
right.
you until you try it out. So it'll make your life easier if you have some sort of technique,
Mm.
you know, as a base. And I will say, for any A-list actor who is like, I've never had training, they have a coach with them on set who is helping them in their scenes and is literally like a one-on-one acting coach. So they have been coached, they have been directed. They're not just like brilliant on their own. I'm sure their foundation is amazing, instincts are great, but I know that on a set, on a huge set like what these A-listers are working on, they're going to have a coach that's there helping them, which is basically an acting teacher. So they have had some some training in a different way, but they still
Right,
have
in
had
different
it, you
way.
know?
Right. Not college, but you're right. College is expensive. Woo!
Yeah.
But you have a good point. You don't have to go to college. You just need to go to find acting school. But also, you and your friends can make some acting film, start practicing, memorizing lines,
Oh yeah.
and go from there. That's the one thing that's important about the film industry. Friends can make a funny YouTube video and put it out there, and may not get as many views, but at least you're trying to memorize lines
Oh
and
yeah, absolutely. And just like
right,
working your own creative muscle, you know, because I
right.
think something that also makes actors stand out from one another is that there are some people who are creating their own content, and then there are some people who are just
Hmm.
like, they're like, oh, I'm not a writer. I can't think of anything. I'm like, you're a creative person. I'm sure you can think of something. Maybe you don't want to
Right.
write it down on a script, but like, yeah, a sketch or something just to continue working that muscle and
Hmm.
also setting yourself apart and like also finding your own voice. You know, when you're acting in other people's projects a lot, it's like, okay, I'm saying other people's lines and their thoughts, but when you make your own work, you can have a message, you can say something, and also having that tie, having that, you know, relationship with your work is going to make you want to bring it across the finish
Right.
line and sit in an editing room and edit it and put it up, even if it is on, you know, TikTok or YouTube or whatnot. Like it's so important to make your own work for sure.
Yeah, 100%. That's make your own work and have fun and be ideas to bring your brain together, and you can make something and be creative. That's 100%
Hmm.
true in the film industry. So,
Yeah.
as yourself, if you mind me asking, are you the only child? And if not, if you have any siblings, are they also in the entertainment acting world industry?
Yeah. So I am the eldest of 3 girls. Even the dog that we had was a girl. So lots of women energy in my life for sure. Definitely influenced by that. So yes, I have 2 younger sisters. We're all named J names. So I'm Jess, and then goes Jenna and Jill, which is cute. My middle sister is also a performer. So she right now is still living on the East Coast, and she does like murder mystery dinner detective shows, and she works on a pirate booze cruise. And yeah, has done a lot of like local work over there. And then my youngest sister is not in the entertainment industry at all. She went to Harvard, so she's a smart cookie. And she did ROTC there and joined the Army after Harvard and is a commanding officer in the engineering corps of the American Army, which is so wild because she's always going to be my baby sister. You know, she's like 24, I think, or 25
Hmm.
now. It's just like, and she's still a couple inches smaller than me, and I'm like, oh, you're commanding an army, like so cute. She's gonna hate me when she sees that, but it's like she's adorable, like commanding this army and kicking ass at it as well. And she does sing and play the guitar, and she actually is a songwriter, so she does have that creative
Right.
aspect to her, but she's not pursuing performing full time.
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know if she maybe has to put on a good face in the army, to deal with all the
Yeah,
bullshit, but
right.
like she's not actively
Yeah.
performing. Yeah.
So you're the only one that came from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast. Did your
Yeah,
family
yeah,
think you
yeah,
were
yeah.
crazy, especially your sisters? They're like, wait, what are you doing? What again? You're doing what? What is this you doing? Wait, our
Yeah.
oldest sister's doing what? She's insane. But of course she's the oldest sister, but she's insane, right? Did they think of that?
I mean, my mom definitely tried to convince me to not leave. I think she was like, "No, not my baby. Like, don't move 3,000 miles away from me." My sisters, they were like in high school and college at the time, or I think they were both in college at the time. So they were already, in their adult phase, and they were supportive of it. They're like, "Oh, we'll miss you," because obviously living on the East Coast, like you go to, because my family's there, I would go to
Hmm.
all the family functions, have to show up for everything, whatever. And, so they were like, okay, we're definitely going to be seeing less of you. But they supported my vision for sure. And my middle sister, Jenna, she does want to move out to LA eventually when the time is right for her. And my mom, even now, after me living here for 6 years, is like, yeah, I can see myself in California. And I'm like, for the big, like, you were trying to stop me for so long for the year that I was thinking about it or planning for it. And now she wants to come out. So I think slowly but surely, I'm just going to pick each one of my family members off and bring them to the West Coast.
And
It
move
is
out there.
the best coast. Yeah, exactly.
It's
And like
amazing.
have
LA
our
is
family
amazing.
unit here.
LA is 100% amazing. I've been there many
Hmm.
times. Um, Beautiful. There's things to do. So, yeah, it's
For
crazy.
sure.
You went from New York all the way to LA and then drove all the way out there, and your mom thought you were crazy. Now she's so happy that you're living there.
So happy that she wants to move out here too.
You're convincing her. So remind me, do you go back home often, or no? You're like, no, I can't leave this warm state.
Give me warmth. I would say, yeah, like twice a year usually I go out. So definitely
Hmm.
for the holidays, in December, and then usually one point during the summer I'll go out there. But luckily my mom is coming to me this summer. She's gonna be out here after I film my short, and she'll be visiting me. So it saves me $700 round trip to go back to the East Coast because it is expensive to go back and forth. Like it's not yeah, there has to be like a high speed train or something, but we're not there yet, so we have to pay for the flights.
Right.
So yeah, but usually I try to get out there once or twice a year.
Right. That's amazing. And
Yeah,
of course, again, congratulations winning the award 3 times
thank you.
as an actress, and your upcoming films that you're going to be producing, and um, of course myself and a lot of audience and your fans and my fans will be, and other followers out there can't wait to see the film. So please keep me
Yes.
updated about that.
Yes, I definitely will. I will for sure. I'll let you know. I'll let you know which amazing festival we get into to have our world
Hmm.
premiere. Once it's out there, I can send it to you. And for now, if anybody out there is resonating with the idea and the theme of hostile exchange, we are running a GoFundMe page. So I don't know. I don't, it's the URLs are like very bizarre. So I don't know even how to like say it out loud. But if you look, like if you
Right.
Google hostile exchange GoFundMe, you will definitely find it on there. And we're still going to be raising money. We raised enough for production, which is amazing. But now, eventually we have to think about post-production and,
Right. Post
that can
production
add
and
up
all that
too.
stuff.
So
100%.
yes. So if people want to join
And
the journey, that's the way to
right.
do it.
That's true. And I'm so glad you're making a film about the Me Too movements and women empowerment. That's very important to talk about. And remember all the march that there was happening in the streets in the United States and Me Too movement. So it's very
Yeah.
good that you're making a film about it. So please keep
Thanks. I
up the
appreciate
work.
it.
So
I appreciate it. Yeah.
you know,
It's a long time coming, but women are finally having their moment, which is amazing.
yes, 100%. Yeah, you're very welcome. I appreciate it, and just keep it going. And every time I have you back, I want to keep talking to you about it.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
found you through Instagram, of course, throwing
Yes.
through, and I was just looking through, and I found you, and I took a bold chance to reach out to you and say, hey, I want to have you on my show because I read about your research and all the films you've been doing and all this work that you've done and your films and I was like, wow, you've done a lot and like I like the Me
Thank
Too
you.
and all that work, and I said, I want to have Jessica on my show and have her talk about the reason you were making the films, the reason why you made a Me Too movement, why you would have the women empowerment film as well. Um,
Hmm.
and it's very important to do that to the other young ladies out there and young teenagers and high school kids and college ladies to let them know it's okay. You can go out there and make films and be what you want to
Yep.
be in the world, and nothing will stop you. So that's really good you're doing
Yeah,
that film.
absolutely. Yeah. And to share your story, like I didn't, yeah, like for example, both of these short films are based on my own experience. So Gen 28 was about my own survivor story, and then this one is about a breakup I had with an ex. And I never thought when either of those things happened that I would make them into films, and then it just like naturally happened. And it's
Hmm.
I think what is the most like a very powerful thing is when people share their own stories to be like,
Right.
hey, this is the real thing. And of course you need to change it to fit the narrative structure. But yeah, like what we have gone through, honestly, I think all humans, like
Hmm.
women included, but all humans, like there are lessons to be learned in all of that. And
Right.
if you can
Right.
share it with a wider audience and, make people see things a different way
Hmm.
because of what you went through, I think that's really powerful.
And I've kind of read about your survival. I've heard about your story, and
Hmm.
and that's the reason why you made the film, and and you told your story about it. And I know a lot of people want to know more about it, and they want to watch your documentary or your film, and they will understand your story and all the stuff that you want to talk about. And it's very good that you're doing women empowerment move film and Me Too movement. So
Thank you. I
it,
appreciate that. If coming from a man, we love to see it. We love to see it. So thank you for that endorsement and
you're
support.
very
I do
welcome.
appreciate it.
I would put you on the spot. You're always welcome to tell about your survival story, but I feel like a lot of audience need to watch the film to understand it. You're
Yeah.
more. I give you the spot now, but you're more than welcome to talk a little bit about it. But I always tell people to, as myself, to let the audience and your fans and your audience to go out and see the film to understand the stories about the Me Too movement and the stories and all that stuff. And I say all that stuff, but etc. about the
Yeah, yeah,
film.
yeah.
So
Yeah, and I think that the film is going to be, I mean, it's pretty close to what happened, I would say. So I would definitely recommend people to check it out. It's 13 minutes. It's not going to take too long, but even like the part where we get into onesies and walk on the street, like that was a real thing. I would say the only thing in the film that was uh fabricated or we had to change in order to tell the story and the message that we wanted to is the confrontation that happens at the end where she confronts him about what just happened. I was not able to do that. I said it as much of like a because again, we're talking about like the gray area of sexual assault, right? So I kind of knew this person and uh like as we're in the heat of the moment, I was saying like, no, this hurts. Can we stop? And then he's just like completely ignoring me and doing what he wants,
hmm.
which is not great. You know what I mean? Like people are like, oh, it's a gray area. I'm like, it's not a gray area. When someone says, can we stop? That's not great,
Right,
right? That's
right.
pretty like cut and dry. Um, but he didn't even like realize that he did anything wrong because he reached out to me the next day and was like, "Hey, I had a great time. Like, want to see you again." And I'm like,
Hmm.
no, dude." So I had that confrontation via text, just being like, I was like, "No, I told you to stop and you didn't, so I'm never seeing you again," kind of thing. And like I wish that I could have had the conversation that my character has in the film at the very end and like saying everything that she needs to say. But unfortunately, that's not how things work out.
Right.
But we get to put it in films, and I was able to like cathartically
Mm-hmm.
like live out that experience, which was kind of triggering in a way, but like in a good way.
Right.
It was like I was able to do therapy, but on like recreation therapy, but on the screen for other people to also learn and like take something away from it. But
Right.
I would recommend watching it. for sure. Everyone should see
And
it.
what was the
13
name of the
minutes.
film and that a lot of people that you're talking about, and where can people watch it again?
Yes, so Gen 28, Jen, comma 28, and you can look it up on YouTube or on Vimeo.
Yes, please do. And of course, like I said, I didn't want to have you put on your spot to tell the story. That's why I just said if you want to, you can. And I just wanted to let you know I didn't want to pressure you telling the story and your survival story. So thank you for telling honestly about it. But
Yeah.
I'm glad, and I want folks to see it, and so they can understand the story about Me Too movement and the survival, yes, tongue twisting, survival skills. Sorry, um,
Survivor stories. Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
rare I get tongue twisting, but survival skills, and it's very important to tell stories about it. So.
yeah.
Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for making films. I can't wait to have you make more films, and I can't wait for
Yes.
your next film that's going to come out and you can talk about it on when I have you next time on my show. And of
Yes,
course, congratulations being
absolutely.
on Law and Order again. I'm bragging about it because it's the reason I'm bragging about it is because it's been going on for a long time. I remember seeing it when I was little. Right,
Hmm.
and I don't know if you remember parents would always tell you, "Oh, don't watch the show. Maybe it's a little, a little worry, blah blah blah." And you get older, and you're like, once you get older and older, you're like, you hang out with your friends and you're like, okay, let's see what we watch. And middle of the night, you're like 9 o'clock. You're like, wait, Law and Order still going? Season something and what? And then you
Season
Google
37.
right IMDb, and you're like, what? And then you get older and older and older, and you're like hang out with your friends in college or whatever, and you're like, what should we watch? And you turn on TV, it's like Law and Order, and like, wait, what? It's still going? And it's like everybody's
Yep,
like,
fast forward 20 years later, same
right,
exact
everybody's like,
situation is going on.
right, season 27. Everybody's like, I just remember it was like season 15. Wait, right? So congratulations on
Thank you.
Law and Order, and of course, again, congratulations on your reward, and thank you
Thanks.
for coming on my show. And again, my heart goes out to you. I do apologize for all the experience that you have in your life as being a survivor. My heart goes
Appreciate
out
it.
to you from the bottom of my heart, and thank you for sharing your story. Like again, you didn't have to tell your story. I just said that's why I said you can if you want to. You didn't have to, but I appreciate you telling a brief story about it, and that's thank you for making a film about it, and thank you for keep doing what you want to do to change the world. And I will say this that we are as an actor, an actress, a producer, or we're telling people's story, and you're a very good example of that, right? You are telling your story, but you're showing films to show people to this is what could be the warning signs to prevent it and all that, and etc. To to show stories like that and very good example. It's not example actually. It's happening. Your film is being shown in Harvard, right?
Hmm.
And I believe that it's going to spread to other college campuses, and
I hope so.
that's my belief, and I think it's going to happen. So
Yeah.
I'm so excited, and I'm again happy for you, and
Thank you.
my heart goes out to you. Thank you for telling your story and
Yeah. Thanks so much for
sharing it.
having me. This was great fun. I love talking about acting, and hopefully people enjoy Gen 28, enjoy Hostile Exchange, and yeah, we can circle back when my first feature is in theaters.
Yes, please do. I would love to have you back on my show. Yeah, it's I would love to talk about your upcoming films.
Yes, let's manifest that. It's going to happen.
Yes, manifest that. Yes, yes, 100%. Well, thank you for coming on my show. I appreciate it so much. We've been communicating, and I was so happy that you read my message, and I was,
Yeah.
and here
Yeah.
you are. So,
Yeah, I can't wait to see the post. So please send it on over. But thanks so much for having
yeah,
me,
thank you
and
for coming on, and I look forward to having you back.
awesome. Sounds
All right, I
great.
talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.